Bryan, those of you who don't know Bryan, you'll recognize him as soon as he stands up. He's on staff here. I can say this. He's on staff here yet. Bryan, when you come on, just make a little introduction of who you are and your history in this community. You've lived in this community all your life. You got your feet planted here. Yeah. And in case you don't know it, I see his mom back there. She's a resident. And it's good to have her here. It's good to have you here tonight, you and Diane, and they're going to share with us one of their travelogues. It's one that I haven't seen, and Bryan used to come here on a regular basis on Thursday nights. And I say regular, irregular as regular was back then. And he would come with some pretty nice programs, and I said, it's time to get him back. And it's time to get him back before he retires. I'm going to let you address that situation. Okay. So, Bryan and Diane, come on, present us this travelogue, and we're going to allow for some questions on the end. So, when it comes about 7:15, if you can wind it down.
I'll try.
We'll have questions for you. Good. Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I work here. I told my wife I was going to tell you that I'm not going to mop the floor tonight. I'm not going to deliver your packages or clear your toilet. All right, we're gonna work on some pictures, but these are some things that my wife and I do outside of our jobs. Now, Diane retired, and Jim gave you the news that I'm going to be retiring in about 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks. So I hit that age where I think we want to do a little bit more. Maybe we can come back and show you some new trips that we've done. History here, I pretty much grew up mostly here in Satterton. Just if you go down Wildwood Avenue and come up the other side on Broad Street, Mifflin, I grew up there most of my life. Been as a kid up and down these streets, probably through the parking lot here. My mom and my aunt are both here, Evelyn Burckhart and Gladys Clemens. Have an apartment for probably 6 years or more now. Their parents was Clarence and Miriam Musselman. Clarence's claim to fame a little here was he lived to 107 years old. So she's got a lot more years ahead of her, and hopefully I do too. And then beyond that, my other grandfather, John Burckhart, actually was here for a period of time too. So my side of the family has a little history there. I'll let my wife tell you about hers.
I was Diane Graybill. So my parents were Chester and Ruth Graybill, and I lived on Cowpath Road is where I grew up. And then my grandparents also stayed here at the Satterton Mennonite Home, and they were Elmer and Emily Cobb. Elmer was a pastor at Pottstown Mennonite Church, and he was also a bishop in the church.
So we have quite a bit of history here with the home, and I recognize a lot of faces, and those who don't, if you see me in the hall, don't be afraid to say hi. If you like the program, let me know that. If you didn't like it, let my mom know that. All right, so we'll do it that way. Tonight we're going to look at Africa. So when her mom passed away, my dad passed away within about a 3-month period. I looked at her and I said, "Listen, what are we waiting for? The kids are grown. We like to travel. Let's go travel. Where would you like to go? What would be the number one place you'd like to go?" And didn't hesitate at all. I'd like to go to Africa and do some safaris. So this is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do our best to try to keep it moving because I got a lot of pictures. We had a lot of really good experiences. I shamefully put my grandkids up there. We have 11 grandkids out of the 3 kids that we have, and they keep us pretty busy right now, and will when I retire. This gives you a little bit of a map. I tried to kind of highlight some of the places we've been, but we've been from anywhere from Alaska to Australia. It was probably our last trip just before COVID. We've been to, you'll see Africa there. You'll see kind of where we were in Kenya. We've been to Europe. We've done Machu Picchu, the Galapagos Islands, snorkeled in a lot of those places. And so we've kind of focused some of our our trips on seeing animals in their natural habitat, even as far as up in Canada. I did one here where we were looking for polar bears and things, and really some good trips. This will give you an idea of Kenya, where we were. We flew into Nairobi, and we went a little bit north to one camp. We were at 3 camps. We went further north into another camp, and then we flew back down south and into the Masai Mara, and was at a camp there. This picture here is a picture of flying outside of Nairobi. We flew into Nairobi, and that was an experience in itself. Nairobi is somewhat of a similar setup politically as us. But they had a lot of issues with surrounding countries, particularly Somalia. So when we flew in, we were met off the plane with armed guards, a little unnerving in the dark. We were stopped 2 times going to our hotel, asking what we were doing here by guards, why we were there, and where we were staying, of which we both looked at each other and was like, we don't know where we're going. We're part of the trip. And then the hotel we were at was guarded too, so they had a lot of issues with Somalia and the Muslim nation next to them, so they're very, very cautious. But this is a small airport we flew out of to head to the bush. I'll let you talk a little bit.
This was the driver that picked us up that day. He was from the camp that we were going to. And as you see, our bags are not very big for a week and a half away. Because we were going on small flights, we were limited on the weight. It was about 40 to 45 pounds we were allowed to take per person, and that included luggage, backpack, camera, purse, anything like that. And this is on our way to the first camp.
I took this. I worked at Hatfield Clemens Food Group. I call it at Hatfield. A lot of you know it as that. This is a butcher shop where they'll take whatever you're bringing in, slaughter and prepare whatever you need just outside the village. And these are some guys that were traveling through. I'm not sure if they were thrilled about me taking their picture, but I got through and got by. But it gives you a little idea of what we were heading into as we were heading into the camp.
This is one of the antelope that were greeting us as we got there, just poking his head through, and the others were on alert back there.
This area was known for their rhinoceroses. It's hard to say. These are for the rhinos, more than any other part of Kenya. But we could get really close, as you could see. You'll see this one still has pretty much his horn intact, but they do at times catch them, shave the horn off, because a lot of people were poaching them for that aspect. But they seem pretty quiet and gentle. I'm told their eyesight's not so good, but here gives you a little bit of a video as they were kind of on the road we were traveling, so we had to get off to go around. But you'll see these guys here have a little bit more of a pointy horn. There was a black northern rhino, which we did get to see, and now they are extinct. They're no longer around. I don't know that I have pictures, but this guy was just checking us out before he left us go by. Big, amazing animals.
This is a water buffalo. They have the large horns, and I was told the males have bigger ones so that they can fight for their dominance in the herd.
Zebras, seen them at the zoo, never spent a whole lot of time there. It's different out in the wild. It's just, they just stuck out. They were just beautiful to see. Saw them a lot. And then more rhinos. And this one here, you can see a baby. And then the one that has part of his horn shaved off. And then you'll see a warthog kind of sneaking by in the back. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of the terrain we were in. We call it the bush. You get some flat, open areas, but then you get some wooded and bushed area that you can travel through, and basically we were on the hunt.
This is a video of the baboon invasion. When you see one baboon, there's usually a big group. And Bryan says it's kind of like having a vacation or spring break for the
Yeah, it reminds me of college kids at spring break, if you're in Florida, because they come in and they're just, all of a sudden, they're all over the place and they're crazy, and then they're gone. Yeah, the baboons are kind of interesting. This is the Jeep that we were in. Actually, we're still on our way to the camp. Diane in the back there, but we could open the windows. We mostly stood on our seats to be able to see out the top and take pictures. And this gives you another picture as we got stuck. We had to wait for somebody to come and pull us out.
And while we were waiting, they said we could get out, that it was safe to get out, and they had this bone was found nearby, and they said it was a giraffe bone.
First view of elephants through the bush as we were heading through. Just love that picture with the tusks. And then down the road, we ran into another one with a little baby. And you can see we didn't quite get through there until they passed. Go ahead.
This was our tent for the first camp. It was a tent. There were no walls to it. This is the front. To the right was our bedroom, and then to the left was the bathroom with shower and stuff.
Out front, about maybe 150 feet away, they had a big watering pond that we could, animals would come out through day and night and water and feed and drink, and so we get to see a lot of different things coming through it while we were there. And here that shows the water buffaloes coming down, and they always travel in large numbers.
This is an eland that also came down to the watering hole. It's a large antelope.
And another zebra crossing.
These were, we called them warties, warthogs. This is like a family of warthogs, 2 adults and two babies. They're not doing it here, but when they're in a hurry and running, the tail is straight up and waving in the air.
This is one that we didn't really appreciate while we were there. We were kind of set on seeing certain animals, certainly lions. This is called a wild dog or a painted dog. Very unusual. They're an endangered species. Again, I wish we would have appreciated them more. These look very cuddly and cute, very vicious. They travel in packs. They hunt medium to small animals, and they're pretty vicious. But here tonight, right out in the middle of the bush, they were just flatlands. They were just laying, kind of chilling and relaxing. But they work as a unit. They're pretty animals. And as you're driving along, jackals popping their heads up, checking you out.
This is the lodge, which was also a tented lodge, where we had supper at night. We would get back, we'd go out in the mornings and in the afternoons, late afternoons, and then we'd go back and get showers, and then they'd come to our tent. We had a flash of light that we were ready to come, and they would come get us and walk us to the lodge for supper and then back again, because there were animals in the camp at all times. And they had to walk around with guns to make sure they had everything under control.
Go ahead.
This is the next morning. In the morning, we would wake up at 5:30, and they'd drop off whatever beverage you wanted and cookies. And then 6 o'clock, we'd leave on safari.
So we'd get up before we could be on the road before the sun came up, because that's when animals are most active. And this guy was right outside the tent, and we could get really close. And here you can see some gazelles just as the sun's coming up. This here I took just because if you look in the background, the top there, outline of a mountain, that's Mount Kenya. It's one of the highest points in Kenya. So we were near that.
These are some gazelles. There were a lot of different kind of gazelles, but I do not recall all the names at this point.
As one of the things that was strange is we could look into the bush there and not see anything, and then all of a sudden a giraffe pops out, and you're like, how did I miss that giraffe? And then like 2 minutes later, a whole bunch of more giraffes were coming out, and it's quite amazing how they were able to hide themselves. But we'll have more on the giraffes as we go along here. I like this picture. He was staring us down on the side of the road, and looks like he got in a little bit of fight somewhere. He lost part of his ear.
These are the water buffaloes again, and this one seems to be telling us to not get too close.
Baboons again, all right, again, they come in, poof, they're gone, but this is kind of their annex as they are around. They're kind of crazy. After a while being out on the safari in the morning, they would stop and have a breakfast for us. You want to talk a little bit about
Foods were great at these places. They were top-notch foods. As you can see, there was a wide variety, and this was the other gentleman that was with us in our Jeep that day. But they would set everything out, and we'd eat there. They just found a safe place that they knew there weren't any animals nearby.
I don't know if the guides were packing anything. I never saw anything. They never made any moves. But as you'll see how close we get to some of these guys, it would make you wonder. It would have been a good question.
Then after our morning ride, we would come back for lunch, and they had the table set up right outside of the water hole, and we would sit there and watch the animals as we ate. This was me with one of the wait staff there.
While we were eating, some elephants came down. These were really amazing camps that we were at. Sometimes feeling out of place because we're not that high end, but I'm acting there. There's no way I'm sleeping in a hammock when there's wild animals around, but I had to do that. As you can see, this was the gazelle that ran just by.
This was the next morning, leaving or probably later that day, after a little break after lunch, then getting back to our Jeeps. This was Kecheche Laikipia camp. And this is not a six-legged giraffe. It kind of looks like that, but it's two giraffes with one smaller one behind the larger one.
Again, the giraffes were amazing, and we'll show some more on just different aspects of them. We had gotten to like our third night here and hadn't seen any lions, and then the guide said that he had heard, they did communicate on radio at times, that there were some lions out on the one area of the bush, and all of a sudden we took off. And fortunately, after to see this small pride, there was a male and female in this pride, and it looked like they were just lounging around, like maybe they had already eaten, but you get some really good shots. I'm not a professional photographer. I do enjoy taking pictures, particularly of wildlife, and as you can see, the zebras. This was the last morning we were there. The zebras kind of came down and bid us goodbye to this camp. And on the way out, this here is the equator does run through Kenya. So this was the marking of where the equator was running through Kenya. So we were on both sides of that.
We flew from Nairobi to the first camp, but then from the first camp to the second camp, we were driven by Jeep. We had to put all our belongings in the back and cover them with a tarp, and we were warned as to how to behave on the way there. This is a church that we went by at one point. And this is a herd of goats or sheep. They are nomadic and moving the herds around. The children are usually responsible for that. You can see a young man there watching the herd.
A lot of the towns we went through were small Muslim towns. We were told no pictures. That's why I wasn't allowed to take any. One of the driver told us that he's already been chased down by guys taking pictures of the people in that town. It was a little bit, I would tell you, it was a little bit scary till we got there.
This was as we were approaching the second camp in Samburu. And this is a termite mound. We would see them a lot, but we didn't see termites, so they were busy in there.
The second camp we were at was really cool, really neat. We had to go up the side of a mountain, and these are some of the shots as...
That's the road.
Yeah, that's the road heading up and back in the Jeeps that we were in. And this gives you a view from our deck, from our bed. This was quite amazing. You can see how far away the shadows from the clouds. And Diane's coming up from the lower level up to the sitting. We had a sitting room also, but this gives you a little bit of a view. The nights at night that was amazing because you have no ambient light there, and the stars just popped. I wish I had a tripod. I could have done better with pictures on that, but this gives you a little bit of an idea of what where we were living. But we weren't there that much because we were constantly out, looking for wildlife. The pool, we did take a dip in the pool, but the nights got really cold there. This is in August, and the water was just a little hard to be in.
This is a small animal called a dik-dik. It's a small deer, and I just thought it was so adorable. That's standing on a little rock by the path that we were walking on.
Baboon coming through. We had them running through below us, where you saw the deck. They were right below us, a whole bunch of them running through. A little bit worried. This is from the bottom now, where we were looking down. This is looking up at the units where we stayed. Didn't see a giraffe down there, but he was there. He popped his head up.
This is an oryx. It's another type of antelope that we often saw. And they would take us out, they took us out right before supper for sundowners. They had drinks and little snacks for you, etc. This is our driver. They dress in the tribal wear of the area. And the lady to the right of me is Michelle. Her and her husband Mark are from England. And we met them at this camp, and they actually went with us to the next camp. So we got to know them well.
See the sun going down. Next day we got up, we traveled through a lot. This is a little more desert area, but they do have like oases there. And so we traveled until we got to one, and we found a pride of lions laying in there. You see the one cub looking up at us. Their bellies are full, so they had just gotten done with a meal. I don't know what they had, but we might see something here later. It gives you a little bit idea of the area and an elephant moving through.
This is a cheetah. They're gorgeous animals, but he is on alert.
He had a couple cubs there.
This is a elephant that had passed away and was lying in the middle of the stream. And we were like, why would they be lying in the middle of the stream? Why would they die there? And they told us most of the elephants do not have predators that take them down. Most of the elephants die from no teeth. They have 6 sets of teeth, so when they lose one, they get another one. After they lose the 6th one, they can't eat anymore.
They basically starve.
So they basically starve, and this one, he felt probably died from that.
See the gators in the back and the ones up here. They were there just waiting. I like these pictures here. We got into an area where we had a lot of that bush. You'll see, we'll talk about that a little bit. But you'll see, we felt like we were in the Garden of Eden. If you want to look at a place that has all sorts of animals around, there were no lions or meat eaters there, but these guys just kind of all cohabited together. It was just a really beautiful. It just felt peaceful there. I don't know. It was just really neat to see them all together in one spot.
This is a yellow-billed hornbill, one of the many birds they have over there.
And here's a giraffe drinking, and I'll have a little video here as to what they go through in order to get down to that position, that they can't bend their necks that low. Here's
another oryx.
And this might be what those lions had for supper that night. I believe that was an eland. You can see the horns up there that might suggest that it was that. But everything gets used. If they don't eat it, the jackals will come, the birds will come. Again, another close-up of an elephant nearby.
This is another small deer, which is called a clip springer.
And the next morning, again, they come, bring us something to drink and some biscuits, and then before the sun comes up, and we head back out on the hunt. So
That morning, they had heard that there was a leopard nearby, so we went looking for it, and we found it.
that was a beautiful sight, and just as the sun's coming up, and here you'll see him. We got ahead of him after those shots. We got ahead of him, and you'll see him starting to work his way through. What they would tell us is if you stayed in the truck, you were fine. They don't seem to care or bother with the vehicle. If you get out of the vehicle, now you're entering their area, and you could be prey. You could be in trouble. But he just went right across the front of our truck, looking for food. Again, I take a lot of pictures of elephants. We could get really close without much fear, but you can watch how this one will wrap his trunk around some branches and just pull in and feed himself. It gives you a little bit of an idea why he needs the teeth that he needs. And there's a little close-up of him wrapping a tree up. And this gives you an idea. This was another group that was going through truck, but we could get really close to these guys, and didn't seem to bother them. I didn't know they had beards, but apparently they have some hair on their chin.
And this is a cheetah. This cheetah is in the midst of hunting. The way he's positioned and looking straight ahead, he's searching for food.
We'd stop for, again, this is our breakfast, a different spot.
This is an antelope that it stands up on its back feet to eat. It's called a geranuk. And they said it's amazing how God made them, that the geranuk eats the higher part on the bush and leaves the foliage at the bottom for the other animals that can't.
I like this picture because it not only shows that, but you can see kind of the terrain that we're in. It's a little drier, it's a little hilly, but it changes all the time. Here's the giraffes, and I'll let Diane talk a little bit about that.
I don't know, we love the giraffes, and as they're getting down to drink, they become very vulnerable in that position. So before they get down, they're looking all around and checking everything around them to make sure it's safe. They knew we were there, but they felt that was okay, and they just had to gradually spread their legs so that they could get down, but constantly on alert and looking around for predators.
He's trying to make sure he's all right, because once he gets down, he's not going to be getting up as quick and easily.
Oh, he's going to check again.
Amazing animals. I was reading that they have such a large heart, and that heart is needed to be able to pump the blood up through their neck to their head, and that their legs are wrapped so tight to help with the flow also in their legs. But they need to keep walking. They need to be able to move to keep that blood flowing. But they have a very large tongue, and as you can see, he's reaching up to get some of the best stuff on top. And I'm just playing around. I like this picture of I got a pretty good close-up of one. Again, the baboons are here.
There's another family coming through. The babies, they carry them on their backs. And we were sitting there, we knew they were coming, and here comes one. And before you know it, there's another one. And then the whole gang is here. Came around this side of the bush, and then around the other side of the bush. whole gang.
At this spot, one actually did jump on the hood of the truck, and the guy that we had grabbed a towel, and he was just beating it with the towel to get off. He did eventually jump off, but
This little one, I think, wants to eat from mom, to nurse, and she's not having anything. The parents were digging in the ground for bugs and stuff, they said, to eat.
We got to another area, and we thought we were going to see a kill. And some people may be a little squeamish about that. Me, I was all for it. I'd like to see something happen. And we thought this was going to happen. I like this picture because you look at that animal and the strength and the muscles in his neck and his back. This guy was prime, ready to go. And that was his target. We lined up, a couple of our cars lined up. There was a couple other guys out there, and it looked like he was going to make it go. And that gazelle ran around behind our cars and got with the rest of his herd. And this guy went home hungry that night. But we thought we were going to get to see something there.
And just so you know, that wasn't a guy. We call him a guy.
I call him a guy.
With the lions, the lioness are the hunter. And then they bring the prey back to the pride. This is a cheetah, just hanging out. The one day we went with Mark and Michelle to a Samburu tribe, to a village. And these are the gentlemen from the tribe, and one of their traditions is to see how high you can jump, and that shows who's the most virile in the tribe. And this was Bryan and I and Michelle and Mark with some of the tribal people.
They didn't ask me to jump, so...
They also asked me and Michelle, they put necklaces on us and had us with the women for dancing. And this is one of their huts that we went into. And this is the inside. Not quite like our houses.
They're a different tribe. We don't some of the things that they do are not things that I would advocate for. It was an interesting experience to be able to go in and see how they live.
But kids will be kids. They find whatever they can to make toys out of. The one's in a box being pulled with a rope, and the other one had a tire.
This is the last morning we had at this place. We had breakfast out on our deck. They brought it to us, and quite a view you got for breakfast in the morning. You can see on top of the mountain there that's where the camp is, because this is, they took us to a nearby airstrip.
This is our camp here.
They took us to a nearby airstrip. It was just a flat place in the bush, and they flew a little small plane in. They flew us out. Our friends from London, Mark and Michelle, were along with us. And this is as we're heading into the Mara now. You can see that things getting a little greener. There's a little more vegetation around. And as we landed, this guy, no more than we got off the plane than this guy was walking through. And you can see the warthogs in the back. When a cat walks through, everything stops. Animals are watching to see where he's going or what move he's going to make. But another beautiful animal.
There's a water buffalo and one of the antelope that looks like they're king of the hill. These are two water buffalo that found some shade. It's hard to find.
There's another leopard that was just lounging in the bush. And one of the things we're going to see a lot here in the next few pictures is wildebeest. I don't know.
Not the prettiest
animals. They're not the most beautiful animal, but we'll talk a little bit more as we get into that. But here's one on the run by himself. We were on the road, and he was keeping pace.
I'd have to say we didn't really explain that a lot of the areas we're driving through are protected. So the animals are protected, and they're protecting them from poachers. So that's one of the reasons they're not as afraid of the Jeeps.
It's so wide open. It's, it's part of Africa that has a struggle with, trying to, maintain that. Some more elephants. And go ahead, I'll let you talk about that.
This is at the third camp, this was our tent that we stayed in, the deck in the front to look out, and this is the lodge where we would get together for suppers. And this is an eland. He is a very large antelope, and he was part of they said he walked away at one point and then came back, and he's lived there ever since. He's there at the lodge. And this is me walking back to our tent from the lodge.
During the day, we were able to do that. We weren't able to do that early mornings or evenings. This is our view from our deck. Again, another just beautiful view.
Again, two of the children taking care of the livestock. Usually the firstborn gets to go to school. The ones beneath that, it depends if they have enough money, but usually they don't, so the younger ones have to take care of the animals.
Baby giraffe we ran into on the way. And this is one of our highlights. We were driving around looking for things. Two jackals were outside this bush area, and he kind of thought there might be something in there, and sure enough, this guy had just had a kill, and we missed that part, but we were 15, 20 feet away from him, and you can see he was like, that's close enough, and he was having his supper. He doesn't mind eating with flies all around. And I guess he was good with rare. He didn't really ask for well done. But you can see the teeth and again, this is a female lion. As Diane said, they do a lot of the hunting. I'll show you shortly here what the males are for. Yeah, he was chowing down. We were able to sit there and watch him for probably a good half an hour as he worked that animal.
And the jackals stayed there because they knew when the lion would leave, then it was their chance.
We ran into another pride, and these guys were certainly on the hunt. Little eerie as they came through the bush because you knew they were on a mission somewhere.
This was eating in the lodge, eating breakfast. This morning was a special morning. We were going into the reserve of the Masai Mara. The one to the left was where we stayed, that tent.
And this is the trip, and it was probably a good hour long to get, but we ran into some...
Banded mongoose.
Mongoose, thank you. On the way, some more pride, some more lions. Beginning, we were afraid we weren't going to see much, and at the end, we saw quite a bit.
This was, our driver pulled over to see this. This was an aardvark that had been attacked that morning. They said aardvarks are nocturnal, so you don't often see this, but they said that it had been attacked that morning.
And these are hyenas, so we had a chance to see them, and these are quite dangerous animals. These are, if you've seen them on any nature shows, they're just kind of spread out there, but they're very vicious. They're very nasty. And then another pride of lions, and across behind them you can see Mark and Michelle, friends from London, and how close we were able to get to them. And they didn't seem to bother us at all. I think if I'd have gotten out of the Jeep, it'd have been a different story. But these guys, you can see the one belly there; it's full. Even the cub there, and so they just had eaten.
This is a herd of water buffalo. See them all over the place.
Closer shot of a hyena just trying to get warm or trying to get cool.
These were our first and only time seeing hippos. Hippos are one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. They've killed many humans. If you're on a boat, they will easily tip it.
We weren't generally allowed out. That was one of the few times we were allowed out of the Jeep to get a picture. So have you ever heard of the Great Migration? And I know there's a couple of them, but this one here as regards to the wildebeest, they're traveling north to greener pastures every year, and you'll see the herd come down and run through the water, swim through the water in large numbers. I've seen it many times. We got to see it real. Quite an amazing show. These guys, they battle through, there were crocodiles in the water. They do battle through lions or other animals that may try to get them, wait for them because they know they're coming. But here's a little video to show kind of how that process started. We had a great viewing spot. You'll see there was a couple that are like, you know what, I got halfway through, I'm going back, and they change their mind, but any minute now, any second now, you'll see all of a sudden them as a group kind of commit, and it was all inspiring to be able to sit and see this live. But now you can see them, now they're gone. And Diane was with the video.
First time.
Yeah, I was with the camera, and if the sound was louder, and I'm not telling you to do that, Ruben, but you could hear click, 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 click. I must have had 150 shots of this as they were coming down through.
Yeah, we were all lined up in Jeeps along the other side of the road, or the other side of the river, excuse me. And we probably had sat there for an hour, hour and a half, 2, just waiting to see if they were going to start coming, because you'd see them near the edge, and nobody wanted to seem to start. But once they started, they were all in.
There's no guarantee of seeing it, which made it extra special, because these guys will just wait, and then all of a sudden they'll decide to go. We were blessed to be able to have an opportunity to see that. You could still see them coming. They said this was a relatively smaller herd that came through. I'm just taking it for what it is. Certainly an amazing sight to be able to see and have them come through. The crocodiles that were in the water, for some reason, swam away. I didn't get my wish of seeing something happen, but it was still neat. But this is a natural thing that happens every year, and then they wind up going back, and then they wind up making this trek again. And it's to know that these animals have that instinct to know what to do is quite amazing.
Now the croc didn't go after it. He disappeared. He was kind of going that way.
After that, on the way back, we saw some more. This is another leopard lounging.
This is a marabou stork, and a vulture. As you can see, something else had killed the animal, and now they were feasting on what was left over.
Nothing gets wasted. I hadn't seen any real large male lions. This is one of our first one. And he was chilling underneath the bush, showed us his teeth, which was enough.
And that night, instead of eating in the lodge, they had taken us out to a big bonfire, and they had some of the Maasai tribe there. They were dancing around the fire, and they asked us to join in.
So this is one of our first looks at a male lion, and that's a female lion. And you can see the size of this animal. It's probably 25 feet off the front of our truck, off of our Jeep. And I'll have a little video of him. I think he just woke up. I think she woke him up for some reason. And I'll let this play out, because this is one large animal. I don't know what Daniel was in the den with, but if he was in with this, I tell you what, I would have been worried. He is one big animal. Still trying to find himself here. He looks tired, but I wouldn't have wanted to try to take him on there. You can see how close we were able to get to them. They come right up behind you. And this was a safe place to get out. Again, how close we could get to the elephants. And I have this here just to show, again, there's another way that they would feed themselves. They had these clumps of grass up here, and they would work with their trunk and then their feet, trying to knock it off, trying to get it. And this one didn't make it, but this guy over here, he was able to get it loose. And he just sucks it up and then roots and all. I took this just because it looks like the tree became a bird nest, because that bird up there made the whole top of it his nest.
The one day we were able to go into market. They have market in different towns, different days. So it's kind of like a farmer's market. They sell and buy livestock, clothing, and produce. So you can go there and buy what you need for the week.
They travel for miles to do that. It's amazing what they do, what they go through to get food.
And I love animals, so I'm sitting there trying to make friends with the eland.
And this is one of our last shots. I like this shot as we're driving through just all the giraffes in different levels with the mountain in the background. This one here, we ran into another pride, and we thought we were going to see some action here. There was a hyena by himself, kind of outside the pride, and the male lion did not really appreciate it. So he got up and he was letting that hyena know that, you're not wanted around here. You better let us alone. The hyena eventually just, he didn't move. He just kind of stayed there. He did stand up a few times just to, it was certainly a standoff, but nothing ever came from this encounter, but it looked, I was hopeful. This is the same pride. I got some really good shots. There was a lot of lions in this one. You can see the cub. Their bellies are somewhat full, so I don't know that they were on the hunt for anything. They looked very cuddly and content. Go ahead.
This is a male and a female lion, and just like the big one we saw before, the male and female, if you see them by themselves, not with a pride, they are usually mating. So
this is an adult crowd, so
she came over and woke him up, and he did his business. Oh, and when they are mating, it's over like three to 4 days, and they mate every 20 to 30 minutes, up to 50 times a day. And they don't eat, they just drink and then mate. The male lions are known to kill cubs that are not their own. Like if a new male lion takes over a pride, he will kill the cubs that are in the pride already. So she may mate, they said, sometimes the females mate with a couple different males so that it saves her cubs from being killed.
That was amazing. That guy looks beat. You can see I tried to get a shot of them, but he's had it. He's done. He's tired. Shortly after that, we were heading back, and there was a ravine we could drive down, and this lioness was laying there. She was about to give birth. Now, I don't have pictures of that. I wish I did, but she wasn't more than 10 feet away from my hand. I'm not sure I could have reached her if I put my hand out, but it wouldn't have been far. She was just laying there and panting, so she wasn't far from giving birth to some cubs. But that's as close to a lion, not in a cage, alive, that I'm going to ever get to. It's just amazing to be able to be there.
This was our last night with our driver from that camp.
And the sunset was just beautiful over the bush. These are the guys that are guiding some of the guys in the camp as they wished you goodbye. It was always really neat. They always met you at the door, all welcomed you, and then all said goodbye too. It was really neat.
This is a family and some children walking along the road as we're leaving camp.
The giraffe popped his head up to say, have a good trip back. And this is us flying out of the Mar. I have a video, a couple-minute video. I put a little music montage together. The music is Carrie Underwood, How Great Thou Art. And if I'm going to leave you with anything here tonight, is I think these trips with the animals that we see only solidify our belief in the Creator, that God created this. Any of the trips that we've taken all over the world, and we've probably done 100 different excursions or different people that would talk to us about, well, this evolved to this, and this came from this, and all sorts of stories. And this is what the schools, and this is what everybody in the world is announcing and preaching. I'm telling you, this makes me believe more in a Creator than anything. When you see the diversity of animals, and we'll go through, the video will show a lot of the animals that we have seen. Certainly makes me believe and appreciate our Creator and just what He was able to create and what we're able to see. I know I read Genesis a couple times again this week just to refresh my memory. I think it's verse 10 where it talks about God creating the birds and the animals and just before us, and it's kind of like almost glossed over, but when you see the diversity here, what an amazing thing. And to think that it came from a cell or a big bang or whatever, well, I can't believe that. So hopefully, if you get anything out of that, you'll appreciate the creation that we are able to be a bear witness to. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. I said we'd have a little time for questions, and so I'll give Kay the microphone. We'd like to hear the question. So if you have a question and you'd like to ask Brian or Diane, ask, and Kay will have the microphone to you. Diane, let me borrow yours, and then if I need you, I'll be back. Do we got one? Did you enjoy it? Hey. Good. I thought maybe you'd have a question or two. I'm wondering, I'll ask my question. You're in Africa, and I see you wearing sweatshirts.
It was very cold. It was very cold in the mornings and the nights. In fact, they would go to our rooms and get them ready for us while we were eating supper, and we'd come back to our rooms because there was no heating or anything, so they would put hot water bottles in our bed to keep us warm at night. And then as the day went along, after you got up in the morning, and actually we had hot water bottles in the Jeep sometimes in the morning. As the day went along, you'd be taking the sweatshirts off and getting down to short sleeves, but then as the night would come again, it would get cold again.
Those hot water bottles
That's
were
putting
great.
the hot water bottle to good use, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great. They were the lodges or the places, the camps that we stayed at were very eco-minded. And the last place we were at, she went in to take a shower, and her showers are often a little longer than mine. Well, till I got to it, there was no hot water. So we figured you had about 20 minutes of hot water, and they heated it all by fire. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So you got a couple of cold showers then?
I had a couple cold showers, yeah. Yes, I did.
What year was it that you had this one?
This might have been, we're guessing it was 9 years ago. that we
About
did
9
this
years
one.
ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that you're retiring again, where do you want to go? You've been everywhere.
No, we haven't been, as you saw the map, there's a lot of places to go yet. I'd like to make it all red, but that's not going to happen. We've kind of zeroed in on, we were trying to get to every continent. So one of the continents we hadn't been to certainly was an Asian continent. Before I started here, and just before COVID hit, I started right when COVID hit, I had a trip planned to China. But that went out the door pretty quickly. So I'm kind of zeroing in right now on Vietnam. I grew up through that era, and I certainly have an interest in maybe seeing that versus some of the other. Japan, it tends to be a little more westernized. We like to get into the culture a little bit and see what the different cultures are than being back in another place.
It'd be
like the
fun to
States.
have us guess
Yeah.
what countries you haven't been to.
Yeah.
That would be a fun guess, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about what are our favorites, and I don't know that we have one. We could answer more our favorites on things that we did in those trips, because each trip there were certainly highlights and things that we look back on and just as we get older just become a bigger deal. But probably our highlight, we did a trip to the Galapagos Islands. They're off the coast of Ecuador, and we were snorkeling every day. So we snorkeled the Great Barrier Reef, we snorkeled Mexico, and then we snorkeled the Galapagos. But we were told to get out of the boat, the dinghy that we were in, and start swimming the shore. There was a pod of sea lions there, and so they put us right in the middle of that. And so one of the pictures you saw, there was a sea lion right up at Diane's face. So we were swimming around in there, and they were nipping at your flippers, and it was incredible to think that you're 600 miles out into the Pacific Ocean with wild animals in the water. It's just a crazy thought. That was probably our greatest highlight.
I think we could get you started. There's a couple of things you said and did tonight just reminded me of your dad.
Oh boy.
I knew your dad pretty good.
You want to cut that mic, Ruben?
And I'll bet Mom was thinking some of the
Yeah, I
same
wouldn't
stuff.
doubt it.
Any other questions or comments that you might want to make? Oh, Henry, here, use my mic. Kay's back here.
Talk about the food that you ate on these, at these places.
Camps?
Each of the camps.
Yeah.
Where you're eating, like wild animals, or eating cassava, or?
No,
What?
it was pretty high end, but honestly, I don't really remember a whole lot. The food was really good. Had a lot of variety and stuff. We had more of the wild animal stuff in Australia and some of the other places we were. But at the camps, no, they were pretty. Again, we were kind of out of our comfort zone in these camps because they were. I remember the one we went, the Samburu run, we were sitting in a couple and her son came in. They were from, she was from local, like Philadelphia, and we're in Kenya, and I tried to make conversation. They were in Connecticut, they were from Connecticut, and I was kind of not quite on there. I kind of got the brush off. So there was some of that going on. But we one of the things we were sharing with Jim before we started, you saw Mark and Michelle, a couple from London. They were similar to us. They were taking a life trip themselves, and we actually connected at the two camps, kind of became friends. We've been communicating back and forth with them. They actually came in and did a state tour this past fall. They were in New York, and they got a hold of us, hey, can we come see you? And I was like, absolutely. So we met them in Philly and spent the day with them in Philly. It was just great to make those connections from across the pond. So we made some good friends and good connections. Food was good everywhere. Certainly wasn't the highlight of what we were seeing. So a great question. I thought about trying to figure out, well, what actually were we eating? But it was a lot of good stuff and variety.
What Henry really wanted to know, was it grass-fed?
Well, I'll bet it was. I'll bet it was.
Anybody else? That was a great one. Back here, Addie. Addie grew up on the farm. She farmed. She knows all about cows and stuff like that. What else does she have?
Were you ever afraid?
Yeah.
Were you never afraid? Whew.
I was more afraid in that town.
Yeah, I was more afraid of, as she was saying, I'm mic'd up, at the beginning we probably were afraid just because we weren't used to it, but as you spent the week there, it wasn't as scary as it was at the beginning. But we were more afraid when we landed in Nairobi. We boarded off the plane onto the tarmac, and we were stopped and waited at the top until we were not told to go, and there was guys with machine guns below us. We were stopped on the way to the hotel. We were stopped at the hotel. On our trip from the first place to Samburu, the second place, we went through a number of Muslim towns, and we knew we were tourists and weren't necessarily appreciated there. In fact, he pulled over at one place, and I kind of gave it to him when he came back. He got out of the Jeep, and he said, listen, I'm going to go pick up something from a lady here. And I thought it would be a couple minutes. Well, it turned out to be longer. But within like a minute, we were surrounded, the whole Jeep, with people and kids. And I know I was sitting there going, okay, what do I do now? And is this guy coming back? And he came back. He had bought some bananas, but they were all looking for something or people or something they could get. So we were certainly out of our comfort zone and a little worried about where we were going to be. What could transpire here?
Comfort zones.
Yep.
Yeah. The farm is your comfort zone, Addie. The farm is your comfort zone. Yeah, that's a great question. Any others? I don't want to cut this off too short. Brian's going to be here for a little bit if you want to talk to him. And if you think he's pulling your leg, check with his mom. She'll verify that he's
I'll be
telling
here
the
tomorrow morning at 6:30 if you have any questions.
Okay.
Right up front here.
Right out here, okay. Way to go. Let's take a moment to pray and thank God for this couple and for the pictures and the wildlife that we've seen. Father, we thank you tonight that you've blessed us with the opportunity to see so many of these creatures that you made out in their natural habitat, and that you let Bryan and Diane visit and come back with these wonderful pictures that we can enjoy as well. We asked your blessing on them, and particularly as they think about making some more travels, that they could come back and share more stories with us. And bless our people tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.